Hello, this is Sandy. I'm with the United States Health Foundation, and we're working through our course manual to prepare you for our certified health coaching exam. We're on chapter 7, the psychology of health coaching. When asked, most adults would agree that they are aware of what changes in their lifestyle would result in being healthier. I learned a long time ago we don't need to educate people like we used to because most people are aware not to go through McDonald's every day, or taking a walk might be healthier, or drinking more water. So we ask ourselves, why don't people change their behaviors? Well, it's difficult. Changing behaviors are difficult at the least. I developed a tool called the Coach Q for Coach Questionnaire years ago as I was practicing as a health coach. And very simply, it's a questionnaire to allow you to get an understanding where people are and come up with some thoughts on behaviors that they could change to become healthier. The tool was created to determine how clients perceive their current health status and if in fact they believe they'll get better. It turned into my initial evaluation. And this is something I would encourage you to use if you're going to be doing health coaching with family, friends, patients, clients, etc. The first question in the Coach Q is, how healthy do you feel you are? This is interesting because a lot of people think they're a lot healthier than they are. If we're not in the health hospital, we can't be that bad off. We don't look at our risk as being a threat as much as somebody who has chronic disease. But risks are threatening, and people with higher risk cost more, and they're more likely to have problems. The last question is, do you feel your health will improve, worsen, or remain the same? Most of us are optimistic and we think our health will improve. Well, nothing changes unless we change. So when I ask people how healthy do they feel they are, and they say somewhat or very, and then they say they're going to improve, my question to them is how? And in between that, there's questions relating to physical activity, nutrition, fluid intake, smoking. I ask people if they know their numbers. Do you know your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, your body mass index? I ask them how is their daily energy level, and that's usually not so good. I ask people, how well do you cope with your daily stress, and that's usually not so good. I ask people, do you have regular aches and pains? Older you get, more. Do you sleep well? That's usually not so good. And the questions regarding energy and stress and pain and sleeping correlate very, very well with the first questions on physical activity, nutrition, what you drink, and if you smoke. So it's a wonderful, easy little tool to get an assessment in. And then from there, you can ask people, from what you just learned or from what we just discussed, what more do you feel you could be doing to improve your health? All right, we're talking about the psychology. A doctor and his team years ago, working in the drug and alcohol rehab world, came up with a model that, after doing a review of behavioral change science theories and models, they came up with a what they called a trans theoretical model, trans being across several different theories. And their model, or what we know of it today, is called the readiness to change scale. They identified several levels of readiness for people who are trying to come off of alcohol and drugs. Well, we could apply the same model to people who are trying to change behavior to improve themselves. So the different levels are very significant. And from a health coaching standpoint, we want to make sure that we're working with someone where we've identified a topic that they are ready to change. Trying to change somebody who's not ready is not going to work out. Okay, so their first stage is pre-contemplation, and it's just what it says. Pre-contemplation is they have an attitude, I can't, I won't, and I really don't care. You'll see that in a smoker. They don't believe that they can do it. You can see it with someone who's dieted numerous times. They just don't believe they can do it. And if you remember our confidence and importance scales from earlier in the book, they gotta be up in high confidence and high importance in order for them to get off to a successful start. I don't ever classify somebody as pre-contemplative across the board. It's my job as a health coach to find them in a higher state of readiness, find an item or an action that they're more ready to do. So pre-contemplation is the bottom. You can either be progressing or relapsing on this hierarchy of change, or the stage of change continuum, we call it, the readiness to change scale. So pre-contemplation is early on. It's basically the pros and the cons. There's no pros, it's all negative. The next level is contemplation, and there's a little success here. Your client has now found a reason or a pro to maybe consider making a change. So they go from I can't, I won't to I may, but they're not ready. They're probably 6 months out. When I work in companies, I try to keep people that are in these lower stages interested by going to health fairs, sending out newsletters, email blasts that are positive and encouraging to maybe consider getting involved with our program. So contemplation stage is better, but it's not quite there. The next stage is preparation. I believe this is a test question. The language will change to I will. Your client has now strengthened their motivation and belief system to the point that they are ready to set a date within the next month. So preparation is a great time to get involved as a health coach, because you can sit down and do that health coach questionnaire that we talked about earlier. You can identify some things that they're ready to work on, take their hand, and help them set up some SMART goals. So preparation is I will. Now you're equal with your pros and cons, maybe even a little more so on the pro side. Once you get involved in a program, you move into the next level, and that's action. An example would be January 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, action. You join the gym, you start an exercise program, you start a nutrition program, you quit smoking. Remember, this is modeled from the drug and alcohol world. You can relapse at any time, and the most common time to relapse is after you start. So when you're in the action stage, you're very vulnerable to stopping your gym membership, going off of your nutrition plan, or starting back up on smoking. Another reason it's great to have a health coach involved from preparation into action to help hold people accountable, like maybe meeting once a week, which is a test question as well, once a week for the first month. If for some reason it's not likely for most people on their own, much more so with health coaches, they can sustain that action stage for 6 months. And then they move into maintenance. So they go from I am to I still am. And that person is on their own, and that's someone you cannot stop once they get into a behavior. I gave an example earlier in the recordings of people on a cruise ship who exercise early in the morning. Another one would be people who live in the South and have family in the North, and they go up there at Christmas time and they go out in the cold and the snow, because that's their behavior. They want to move. They want to be physically active. Okay, so you need to remember those stages for the exam. It's the pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. That's progressing. If you're relapsing, you're going the other way. So we ask you a question to put them in order, going from the negatives to the positives. It starts with pre-contemplation and ends with maintenance. Maslow hierarchy of needs. If you remember Maslow, who in the 1940s developed his hierarchy of needs, he had a pyramid, and with any pyramid, you're only as strong as your foundation. So Maslow had a foundation of your physiological needs, air, water, etc., food, safety needs, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. Okay, his physiological needs, air, we talked about oxygen earlier today. We talked about water in the nutrition section. Food we went over very quickly, but that's very important. And sleep. So that's a test question, the physiological needs. All right, very good. That concludes chapter 7, and we have one more to go.